If you can believe it, I recorded one of the most beautiful channelings I feel like I've ever done, straight from the divine, straight from the goddess, straight from the frickin' universe. And I think I just deleted it by accident, thinking it was something else after recording it. And I'm just sitting here like, are you freaking kidding me? Like, that was such a good reading. That was such a good message. I felt the divine in me. And I was like, we are bringing this message to the collective. And now it's just gone. And so I've decided not to leave the emptiness of that and instead start recording again and to tell you about this, to tell you about this experience I just had, because I think maybe there's an even greater message coming through, which is that we sometimes plant seeds, and meaning we go for things, or we do things, we apply for something, we apply ourselves to something, whether it's a relationship or a creative project or something, and it just doesn't come to fruition the way that we hoped. It either doesn't grow, it doesn't survive, or it just isn't what we expected it to be. And there's something also about paying attention to that process and allowing ourselves to see the sacred even in those losses, even in void states. So maybe you are in a moment like that where you are just like, I have put energy into something, whether that's a relationship or a project or something, or yourself in some way, education maybe I'm getting, and it's just like disappointed you or disappeared or left you alone, or for some reason, like something about it has just disappeared. And you're wondering, like, is there a reason for that? Why would I have this like inspired action and then it just to like the outcome is nothing? Well, I think we're being asked to look a little bit deeper into that and to see where in fact there is truth, and what the value is in that emptiness, in that letting go. So I pulled by accident also this little quote that I have here that I wrote down a while ago. Creatives have to get comfortable with voids, with empty space. The unknown allows for new and for more. For cutting, editing, kill your darlings, we have to get, oh yeah, so in terms of cutting and editing and killing your darlings, if you know what I mean by that, cutting out things that we love. This is like what happened just now. It's like an accidental cutting my darlings type thing, right? Like I loved that reading and I guess it just wasn't meant to be. We have to get comfortable with destruction and with letting go. This is a really beautiful message. And I think that part of this process of expanding into your full creative potential and your full creative expression, that means your full empress goddess self, like the wholeness of your being in full union within you, it does still require loss. It does require failure. It does require the letting go of certain expectations. And that has allowed you, I think that you have been like almost proven through tests. And I hate the idea that the universe like tests us like in a manipulative way. I think that this is more that you have been put through enough initiation and come out the other side like, this is not going to destroy me. Like destruction does not mean annihilation. Destruction means refinement, and it means purification, and it means that it's not only purification of the thing itself, the situation itself, but it's like you are being purified through this process of having to let go, because it reveals to you what is true about you, what is still there, what is essential about you, and it brings you closer to your own truth. It brings you closer to what it is that you know you're meant to be doing. And so if something is pulled away from you, and then you can witness yourself and you can pay attention to who you really are without that thing, then you know even clearer what you're doing here. You know even clearer what your soul's calling is. Because even without the external validation of this thing working out, you're like, I'm still going to do it again. I'm still going to try again. If you're a lover and you believed in a romantic relationship and it turned out to not be the one, and you go through that trial, you go through that initiation, and on the other side, you're like, no, I'm still a lover. Like, I'm not going to give up my ability to believe in love. Then you know that you have not been destroyed by that experience, right? Like, you are not giving up, even though now you have much more wisdom, you have much more of a capacity to discern what is right for you, because you're more embodied through the process of this transformation, this purification that looked like destruction, but is actually helping you to become more and more and more strong and embodied in your true authentic self. In the last reading that got deleted, there was this metaphor of fire, right? Of being, if we, maybe this is in a different reading actually, but it's been coming out as a really important central symbol of the goddess and of the divine, which is our creative fire. And our creative fire is something that we have to tend to, like a temple, like a priestess in ancient Rome would tend to the Vesta fire. And if you try to overfeed, overfuel a fire too soon, it will just die out. And if you don't feed it enough, it will die out. There's this like middle ground, it's the temperance card visual, this middle ground of energy reciprocation that is needed in your creative life and in the way that you tend to yourself, that allows your creative fire to burn brightly, to burn steadily, to burn sustainably, to last, to have longevity. So we're really hearing a lot of different things here. There's like this message around being allowed, being able to let go and allow for transformation to take place. The fire is also purely, it is a transformational element. It burns things and it changes things permanently. So your initiation by fire, like I said, this has to do with your creative self, with your pure creative energy. But that is not just about making things. That's not just about the work you do in the world. It's your life force. It's your truth. It's your authentic being. It's what drives your soul into your destiny in all its ways, in your creative work and your love life and everything. So when you can stay attuned to that creative fire within and allow that, first of all, tend to that in tangible and intangible ways, like through caring for the nervous system, but also through caring for your identity and your imagination and your mindset, and beyond that, your spiritual health. And it's like, by tending to that part of yourself within, you not only create abundantly, meaning you have access to your creative fire so that you can actually bring your ideas into being in the world, but you also become the most authentic, pure, and powerful version of yourself that you can be. You have been through a lot. You've been through so many woundings that have left you feeling anxious or left you feeling just psychologically burdened in the past. And that has also led you to feel like you need to be restrictive with your energy, or that you can't build what you want to build, that you don't have the resources that you need in order to become who you want to become. But the messages today are all about bringing in true divine justice. And divine justice is something that you have become acquainted with now, that you are being driven by, because you have created and found inner union, inner spiritual union. The last reading ended up being a lot about love, divine love, and relationship. And I'm not sure why we lost that reading. I'm not sure why it left us like this without it, because I thought it was a really beautiful message. But perhaps it was too love focused. Who knows? But we have to understand, I'm hearing something right now, which is that we have to learn to live without the promise of romantic love. Okay, so this might be a trigger for someone. I know that it would have triggered me at one point in my journey as well if I heard that I was never going to get love. That's not what we're saying. This is about releasing ourselves from codependency. We often, when we hear things like divine union, we do automatically think this must mean soulmate. The medicine is so much deeper and so much more spiritual than physical romantic relationship. Okay, the message that needs to come through today is that you have union within yourself, that you understand spiritually the truth of your nature, which is that you have within you both divine, masculine, feminine, and everything betwixt and everything beyond. There is no separation between those two, and you are a whole thing, a whole being. And you have the masculine and feminine faces of the divine within you at all times. And you have realized this, you have unified this within yourself, whether you know it or not. Just your way of being in the world has created an alignment that you then now work from. And so you call in divine counterpart in all areas of your life. That means all your opportunities and everything that comes to you is being filtered through, I don't know why I'm saying it this way, but it's being filtered through a pure, it's almost like a membrane of purification. So that could be your own way of looking at things, that you now have the ability to discern for yourself what is truly just, what is truly divinely equal, like what has been divined as being a good like reciprocal thing for you, what is worthy of you, what is matching your energy. This is the most highest form of Libra, this Justice card. This is like the archetype of Libra that is beyond all the silly, flirty, social butterfly, like datey energy and like pretty kind of vibes that Libra gets characterized as archetypally. The Justice card is actually what Libra is about. The Justice card is about, like, I just got goosebumps all over my body. Someone here might have Libra in their chart. I myself am a Libra rising, and so I have spent some time with this archetype in terms of feeling its energy and creating a relationship with it. And when I think of Libra, I'm getting goosebumps all over my back again. This is really interesting. Again, it's so powerful. This is super intense. I specifically hear the unsheathing of a sword, and I've heard that sound every time for like years now when I first started really engaging with the archetype of Libra. I do not see butterflies and bows when I think of Libra. I literally hear like the sword of justice being unsheathed. Look at this card of justice here. Look at it. There's a sword and there are scales in the hand of a judge, of a divine judge. Libra being the sign that is associated with relationship, with concepts like marriage, yes, but it must be understood as being bigger than just like mundane marriage. It involves that, but it involves so much more. It's relationality. And so because Venus, this is again the message of Venus, the medicine of Venus, and the axis of Venus and Aries, this is a message about what real relationship is and what it needs to be when it is actually in divine union, when it's a reflection of divine union. It's actually about justice. There is this beautiful John O'Donohue quote where he basically, there's a whole podcast actually where he talks about this. I can put the link in the description for you. But he talks about beauty being justice, or beauty involving justice. It has to do with justice. And just want you to contemplate that. But that is probably the most Libran sentence that could ever exist. And that means because Libra rules divine union, it rules the house of relationality, of reciprocity, and of union. Okay, so we went down a tangent there archetypally. Hopefully you stayed with me, but this for some reason feels like a really, really strong channeling that we need to hear. So the point, maybe the reason why our lovely reading that got deleted, you know, and now is being rearticulated, maybe we needed to be really honing in on the message that is like, yes, this is about reciprocity. Yes, this is about relationship, divine union, but let's not get it twisted. This is actually about how we ourselves are whole, and how we are each individually expressions of that divine union, that we don't need anything else outside us. This is the healing of codependency. And in healing codependency in this way, we fully, fully embody the divine creatrix, the divine emanation, like the physical expression of, like in ourselves, the physical expression of the God, of the Holy Spirit, of the God force. And that is the divine feminine. In many cultures, it's articulated as the divine feminine. And the Empress card was central to our last reading. And her archetype is the expression of that life force, right? Of being endlessly creative, endlessly and perfectly embodied and informed by the divine. So this reading is about getting into that state, being in that relationship with yourself and with the divine, because from there, that is where you are able to be fully discerning in what comes towards you and what you choose to match with. This is a huge, huge, huge unblocking. Maybe this is like a really important message that we all need spiritually right now, is that the goddess is telling us, oh, I'm getting goosebumps all over again in the back. The goddess is telling us that we must understand that we choose our soulmates. We choose our lives. Yes, we attract, but we must be the judge. In the last reading, I said there was a membrane through which, or maybe I said this just now, there's a membrane of truth, of purification, that things are passing through, right? But we are the judge in that scenario. We get to decide for ourselves whether something is just enough to enter our field. And at a certain point in our journey, when we were bogged down by these mental anguishes, and by not believing in ourselves and not believing in our ability to discern and to trust and to set boundaries, then we may not have been able to do that. We may not have been a very good judge of what was equal to us. But now, see, I didn't even know there were cards hiding behind this one card. The truth is that we are revealing this aspect of ourselves now to the world. We're stepping out in this form of the Queen of Swords, that is the earthly emanation of this Libran archetype, that is like, I know I can trust my discernment. And what that leads to, what that unlocks, is the sun, which is true illumination, true joy, like real freedom, creative abundance. Amazing. So amazing. You have a right to your joy. You have a right to peace, and you have a right to the sweetness of life. This is you claiming your right to exist in a beautiful way, in a peaceful way, in a way that actually feels good. The goddess is telling us that we must be devoted to that. We must devote ourselves to what is true for us. The feminine, women in particular, have been pulled away from what is their true birthright for millennia. And so this is about becoming ourselves again, and standing our ground, and holding others accountable to that. You must believe that especially if you are a divinely embodied person, if you're a divine feminine embodied person, then you must understand what your birthright and your role is. You are meant to embody the goddess. You are meant to hold others accountable, to worship the goddess as well, through your own model, right? Through your own holding of your own integrity, your own worth. You deserve to be worshipped. And in being worshipped, you naturally care back. Your whole existence is endlessly abundant. right? When you are in this inner union, when you are in this state of full creative embodiment. And so when someone comes to you, especially if you are in heteronormative relationships, and it's a masculine or like a man coming to you and you're a woman identifying, then you hold them accountable by seeing them clearly and by looking at um, how they understand your power. If they don't understand their power, and if they think they are more powerful than you, then they do not understand. So they cannot pass the test. Do you see what I'm saying? This is a whole lifelong journey. I'm going to leave that there because I don't want there to be too much confusion or too much bias that's coming through. But I'm just going to leave that message there. We have alignment, flow, right relationship, and harmony. So like I said, this reading is about understanding the actual spiritual truth of what right relationship is, about what harmony is. These are Libran qualities. As I said, these are associated with the sign of Libra, the archetype of Libra, rather. So I'm not saying this is like just for Libras. I'm saying we have Libra everywhere in our chart. Everybody has Libra somewhere. So like every other sign. And yeah, I think I'm going to leave that there. That's our message. You have a right to your joy. Remember that. You have a right to peace. And I don't mean you have a right if you do things in a certain way, if you're good enough. No. No. This is dire. You have to understand. It's not that you have a right one day. It's not that one day you get a chance to be peaceful. One day you're going to give yourself the opportunity to live a peaceful life or to be joyous or to enjoy and revel in the sweetness of things. Your actual role on planet Earth is to embody it now, because in embodying it now, you actually give an opportunity to, especially the like masculine embodiment crowd, to rise. It's so important that if you are a feminine, it doesn't mean you have to be a woman, but if you're someone who embodies feminine energy for the most part, that you rise to this. And if you're a non-binary, if you feel like you are not embodying fully feminine or masculine, that is absolutely beautiful. And this dynamic of the relationship between the masculine and feminine aspect of God is in fact something that you would embody in yourself, and that is absolutely sacred. And so that's why this reading it wants to not focus too much on the concept of like actual relationships and more about the teaching inherent here, which is much more important, which is about the sacred relationship of God within. And then to see this like living in the world, to experience it living in the world, it's like we get to embody these aspects, right? And we must embody them the way that it's the most natural for us. And we have to allow ourselves, like I said, especially if you're a woman, you have to give yourself that power, and you have to give other women that power. And the men need to do that too. They need to give women this power, and they need to allow them to be like this, to be the way that they naturally are, and to worship and to honor. Because in doing so, they embody their most divine self. That's the end. 10 of Cups. Beautiful little ending. Thank you so much for being here. This is not usually my topic, but maybe it'll become my topic. If you are interested in personal tarot readings, that is available. You can check my description. If you're interested in one-on-one coaching where we go deep into the somatic landscape to find out and to really track your capacity so that you can and be in relationship with your own nervous system so that you can really move forward in alignment on the things that you want. Because one of the main things that happens when we are creative is we often find ourselves pushing and or burning out in different ways. And it's really usually a capacity issue. It's something to do with the relationship with the self that needs to be tended to. And so my one-on-one space is for returning to that aspect of ourselves, returning to that home within, so that we can really move forward in true alignment and step into the embodied form that we know we can be. The information for that is also in the description or on my website. So feel free. And thank you so much for being here. If you have lasted to the end, I am deeply honored to channel these messages for you. And I would appreciate any kind of interaction because I'm a new channel here. So, anything helps. And I'll see you next time. Blessings. Bye.